Hey, my name is Steven, and this is a hair production tutorial. The programs I'm going to be using are ZBrush, Photoshop, Maya LT, Xnormal, a bit of Substance Painter 2, and I'll be rendering in Marmoset Toolbag 2. So I start things off by creating hair clumps in ZBrush using the Curved Tubes brush. I draw on a plane, and I'll use that plane to bake out each clump set individually. So you want to make sure that you're going to bake out normals and height. And what I'm doing right now is just kind of pushing and pulling, tugging on the depth of each strand so I can get a really nice height bake from that. So I'm going into Maya, and I'm going to make sure that the UVs are set up properly. I had to flip them. I think flipping them actually reverse the bake, so maybe don't flip. But the way that I do this is I generate the clumps at the same scale relative to that plane, and then I bake out my maps per clump and composite them back in into a single map in Photoshop. This method makes it really easy to make sure that you have the proper scale, and to make sure that everything is consistent. So I'm just doing a test in Marmoset. Looking pretty good. So the way I composite in Photoshop is I've set up a quick action, and it's essentially just like a one-click solution for cutting and pasting via the alpha generated per normal map in Xnormal into a single normal map document. It's pretty easy, makes things a lot faster when you're working with like 30 or 40 different normal maps. I'm not a huge fan of exploding the mesh, so I kind of save out meshes per bake, so I'm not getting like raycast conflicts. So once everything is composited, I can begin to build out the diffuse map, and I can use the height map generated from the clumps to add a bit more diffuse variation. In Unreal 4, the height map can generate and drive a lot of detail in the hair shader, in particular the pixel depth offset. I highly recommend you check out their hair shader tutorial. So in Maya, it's pretty easy to just set up some planes and then just kind of remap the UVs to match the texture. This, like I said, makes the workflow like non-destructive. So I'm just doing some layering tests and remapping different planes per clump set. What's nice about this method is you can kind of focus on different parts of the clump depending on how you've built them out, and then rescale. Alphas generally look pretty good in Marmoset. I've struggled a lot to make the hair look good in Unreal, even though they have a new hair shader. I'm still learning how it works, how everything kind of fits together. But I mean, this technique will work just as well in Unreal, and Unity for that matter. So depending on the type of hair that you're making, you might want to add some more waviness or variation to the strand if it's like more wiry, and that's what I'm doing in Substance Painter. So Substance Painter has a warp filter, which is really nice, and it gets that really cool variation, and it helps with coverage and overlap. Another really important thing about hair are the normals, as well as the polygon count. You have to make sure that you're getting a nice silhouette, nice arc to the strands. But the normals, when you have those hard edges, it just doesn't look natural. So the best way to deal with that I've found is to generate a mesh and transfer the normal attributes. So what I'm doing here is quickly just retopologizing with Maya's new quad draw tool, and I can just do a really rough block out form of the mesh, and from there I'll smooth normals and then transfer. So that wraps up my hair production tutorial. I appreciate you watching, and hopefully you've seen how versatile and non-destructive this workflow is. If you have any questions, please let me know.